All these online gurus are trying to convince you that it's easy to become an entrepreneur. A couple clicks and you're making tens of thousands of dollars a month without doing anything. I'm sorry to tell you, but if you start believing that, you're about to get ripped off. But if you're really interested in becoming an entrepreneur and want to learn the steps to get there, I'm going to teach you the quickest ways to become an entrepreneur in 2022. Let's go. What's up everyone? Welcome back to the Startup Studio. My name's Christian. I'm the co-founder of WeAreNoCode. And in this channel, we talk about how to build businesses as non-technical entrepreneurs. We'll give you tips and tricks. So if you're interested in that, click follow, send this to a friend, comment, like, ask us for future things to record for you. We'd be happy to do so. Just ask my dog Molly. She absolutely loves it. Subscribe. Excellent. So the first step to becoming an entrepreneur in 2022 is to learn customer discovery and customer development. Now, this is all part of the search stage. Essentially, we're going to be talking to customers or people we believe are going to be our future customers to get insight into that market to understand, is this the right market that I'm targeting? Do they have a problem that's worth solving that they're willing to pay for? And so it's really about learning as much as we can about that customer base and at the same time preparing a future pipeline of customers for our product that we will be building in the second phase of this startup journey. Now, the reason why this search phase of customer discovery and development is important is because 90% of all apps in the iOS store are zombie apps, meaning that they have not been used in the past 30 days. And that points us towards the fact that everyone is building products no one uses, and that's a problem. Now, the reason behind that is because people are not addressing actual market needs, and that's a huge problem. But we'll leave that aside for just a second, and let's talk about what we really want to discover throughout this first stage in customer discovery and development. So at first, you probably have a good guess of who your customers are going to be. But now what we want to do is to separate those people into different groups of people and identify which one of these individuals is the most effective to go after first, right? Some will be very hard to convince. Some will take a really long time to reach. All those kind of people, they're not necessarily people who we want to target at first as startup entrepreneurs because it's just going to be difficult to be able to get things off the ground with them. Now, eventually we'll be able to target everyone, but at first, unless you are targeting what we call a beachhead market, a very small niche, and we're really curating our experience and curating our product to their needs, then we're going to end up doing nothing for no one or everything for everyone, which is also a huge problem. Now, we're also going to want to understand the specific problem that we are solving for that individual and whether or not they are willing to pay for it. If people aren't willing to pay for it, then that's a problem. Or if we're not able to monetize that in a different way, then we have a problem, right? It's going to be very difficult to turn that into a business. So we want to address needs, not good to haves. And that's an important point. Now, as we're having these conversations, we're going to start really understanding what people are looking for. We're going to identify the specific benefits that that very specific niche of people are looking for to solve this problem. And we're going to use those benefits to be able to, in the future, sell to these people, right? Targeting the things they want instead of just assuming that these are things they want or not understanding the priorities of needs that they have early on. And of course, what better than using these people's words back on them to communicate about your product offering. So when we talk about customer discovery and development, the reason why it's important is because we are going to be able to get all of this insight that's going to be the first step in identifying what it is that we're going to go out and do, what it is that we're going to go out and build, and then what we're even trying to scale, right? And even understanding the language that we need in all of our marketing further down the line. And so although customer discovery and development sounds pretty boring, it's such an essential part for you to be able to save your time and money and not make these huge mistakes like hiring the wrong people, building the wrong things, and spending money left and right to just try to cover up on the fact that you haven't done the groundwork. And guess what? People will notice. So if you're looking for investors later on, they're going to understand that you don't really know your market, that you don't really know how to communicate to them, you don't really know how to reach them. So this first step is super crucial, even though it's kind of boring. Awesome. So now that we've gone through that, let's talk about step 2 to becoming an entrepreneur. You want to learn no code. Why? And what the heck is no code? Well, no code is actually a way where you can build websites, you can build apps, you can build all types of software without writing a single line of code and without understanding coding language at all. Now, some people would think this is only useful for people who don't know how to code, but actually for people who do know how to code, it also has some added benefits. It is way quicker to build. Anything that would take a month to build writing out in individual lines of code, it would take 1 week to build with no code without writing any code. The second reason is because it's way cheaper to build. And the third one is that it's easier to learn in general. So this is just a really good way to be able to start iterating, building things, changing them on the go, and it's gonna give us an increased chance to reach product market fit, which is essentially when you build the right thing for the right customer and they're willing to pay for it. Now with no code, you can build all types of things. You can build apps, you can build marketplaces where you have buyers and sellers and you're taking a commission as a platform. You could build things like Uber, Lyft, Netflix. You can build SaaS platforms. You can build subscription platforms. You can really build a huge number of things, probably about 80% of all technology. So if that's what you were wondering about, don't worry. Now these awesome tools to build software without coding are great. Now, although we could build everything and there are so many no-code tools out there to build things without coding, I would highly recommend that you start off your journey by learning how to build simple things like a smoke test. You could basically create an experience. It could be a website. It could be a one-page landing page where essentially you are expressing the value of your product and trying to incite people to take actions that's going to prove that they're interested in buying what it is you have to sell, even before you build it. And that's a super important point. This very first step, you don't want to learn everything about no code. You just want to build what you need to bring an idea to market and to test and validate that the market is willing to take an action that proves there's demand. So if you're a total beginner in this, I'd recommend that you build a landing page leveraging a tool like Card or maybe like Unbounce. If you have a little bit more experience or you've already used things like Photoshop or you're pretty good with other visual tools, then I would recommend that you check out Webflow to build that out. Now, once you've built out this market test and let's say that you've validated that there is a real demand behind what you have to offer, then we're going to start building out what we call an MVP, the minimum viable product. Now, we call it a minimum viable product because the way that I define it is that it is the minimum product that you can build to deliver 80% of the value that the customer is looking for. So we want to scale back on that end goal that we have with our product and focus in on like, what is this individual looking for that that person is willing to pay for? And let's just build out those couple of features first. Now, depending on what you're trying to build, there's going to be a different tool set that's best suited for that. If you're a beginner with no code, then I would recommend that you check out tools like Softer or like Glide. There are several others out there as well. And if you're a little bit more advanced and you really want to go deeper into building more complex tools, then I would highly recommend you check out bubble.io. Now, these are really concrete skills that you're going to acquire that are going to allow you in the future to launch any kind of business that you want online. So it's a really important skill to learn, and that's why that's my number 2. Now, the third step to becoming an entrepreneur is learning sales and marketing. And this kind of points towards that third phase of building a startup, which is to scale, right? Now, there's a huge difference between early stage and later stage. When you're going out to get what we call the first 100 customers, which is sort of what you use in the startup world, you're gonna be doing things completely differently than what you're doing at scale, right? To get a huge number of people. So at first, you're really going out there and you're doing things relatively manually, and you're looking for a huge amount of feedback from these people, understanding their objections, how you can talk about your product, or what things you should be talking about to be able to get them over those objections so they can finally pay. Now, we're gonna use all of these learnings that we do in the early stage to be able to create scalable marketing strategies on different channels. And so make sure that at first you're focused on the early stage, first 100 customers, learn as much as you can, get as much feedback as possible. And then afterwards, we're going to use those learnings to be able to create an engine that's going to allow us to grow, where we essentially can put in $1 and we know that $2 come out. And that's when people are going to be really excited to invest in your company, right? Because you are going to be multiplying their money and they're going to have a share of the company. Now, it sounds kind of silly, but one of the first steps you want to do is figure out, where do these people hang out, right? You've identified the specific customer segment. Now you already know exactly what they want. You've built a product that addresses that. And now it's like, where can you go and get these people, right? Now, the first thing you're gonna do is go and talk to the people that you already had conversations with in the very first phase. That's why you wanna learn how to do customer discovery and development well. It's because it's gonna create that pipeline early on to be able to sell later on, and you've already built trust and a relationship just having conversations with them. So you're gonna start off with those people. Then you're gonna figure out, where do these people hang out online and offline? and you're gonna start targeting them with different strategies, right? Now, of course, you don't wanna try to do everything in marketing. You could do PPC, which is paid ads. You could do SEO, which is search engine optimization. You could do content marketing. You could do influencer marketing. You could do all sorts of things, and we don't wanna do everything because some of those strategies are only gonna be useful once you have an actual business that's running. They're longer term strategies. When we're building a startup as an early stage entrepreneur, we want to do things that will have quick results, right? And eventually we'll be able to put more and more of our time into marketing strategies which have long-term benefits, because then we know that we're gonna be around in a couple of years. And so you might have noticed that these three things we're telling you, learn, learn, learn. And the reason for that is because to become an entrepreneur, you wanna equip yourself with the skills to be able to execute on any given idea quickly, take advantage of that market opportunity because there's always a window of opportunity. And then you're gonna be able to do that recurringly, right? You're learning the process to build a startup, and you can use that same process to address any problem, market need that you identify. So learning customer discovery is super important to learn what to build. Building is important because you want to launch something and test it in the market. Building further MVPs that allow you to monetize those products. And then sales and marketing is going to allow you to scale that value to more and more customers. If you're enjoying this video, please drop a like, subscribe to the channel, tell a friend. We have a free course below as well, so you can click there and join our free course where we're gonna be breaking down the step-by-step process to be able to build your startup as a non-technical entrepreneur. And now remember, in a world where every single opportunity is online, it's super important to equip ourselves with the skills to be able to address those needs and address those opportunities.